All right, now on to the business news. As far as business news is concerned, one small step for right to repair. And I think we're getting to that article last. So let's go ahead and cover this. I think we have we have 4 articles before that one. First, this was a fascinating opinion piece from The Verge, why the golden age of streaming could be coming to an end. Man, other than YouTube, I don't really stream nothing. I guess I watch view.yahoo.com, free Hulu programs. That's kind of the case there. And so this was a fascinating op-ed piece basically saying that the end of, like, streaming, of course, Netflix came out with streaming earlier, and then Hulu jumped on, and then a lot of other broadcast ones started developing a lot of their own streaming things to get people on their platforms, whatever else. But now what's happening is through a series of consolidations, what's happening is each one of the big media companies are basically producing their own streaming services. And then you're going to have the case where all of the content is going to be exclusive to each of these systems. So if you want to watch your Marvel or DC universe things, DC's also Disney, isn't it? I don't remember. Marvel for sure I know is Disney. So if you want to watch that, you're going to have the subscription to the Disney. Anything Marvel, anything Star Wars, you're going to have the Disney. And then, of course, if you want, the Netflix originals, you have that. Not to mention YouTube's trying to do its thing. Apple TV's trying to do its thing. So, and then, of course, Amazon has its Prime. Amazon's in its prime, right? Hulu, of course, I think, isn't Hulu? I'm forgetting now. All these mergers and consolidations. But basically what's happening is all of the big ISPs, and this is why it's bad for net neutrality, all the big ISPs are jumping in and basically coming in and buying up all the market and completely segregating it. So you won't have any choice as to where you go. Basically, it's kind of like going to be the ISP market. There's going to be no competition other than there's multiple different streaming services, but they all have completely different content. If you want some or all or most of that content, you're going to have to subscribe to each of the different systems, which basically means, hey, we're back up to $100 a month in various subscription fees, or you just don't get it. Or maybe you buy Netflix, your buddy buys Disney's or whatever, and y'all share passwords if that's allowable. Probably not. But this is kind of the thing. So definitely read through. Let's just read this because it's a very short opinion article. Big media companies are getting a lot closer. AT&T and Time Warner are in the process of merging despite the Department of Justice's best efforts. And Disney finally beat out Comcast for control of 21st Century Fox. Of course, Comcast already owns NBC, Universal, and Illumination Studios of the, oh Lord help us, the Minions franchise. I hate the Minions, by the way. Like, it was cute in the first movie, I forget which movie that was. But then just went Minion mad, and now I'm mad at Minions because they're just everywhere. It's like, they're like cockroaches. You can't kill them. You just got to step on them when you step on them, but they just keep on popping up. You kill one here and 5 show up over there. Stupid Minions. But anyway, so not doing so is bad on its own. Nearly every company is getting bigger and more vertically integrated. At the same time, nearly every company that makes videos is finding its way to get into the streaming media business. Disney is planning its own Netflix competitor for 2019, backed by content holdings like Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar. AT&T plans to launch its own Time Warner-focused equivalent around the same time. Similar competitors from Amazon and Comcast are already taking shape, with the streaming subscription business growing this fast. Everyone wants a piece, and they're ready to fight for it. So the fight will have real implications on consumers as studios pull back licensed content and silo it into paid subscriptions. Right now, a single Netflix subscription will get you Marvel movies and DC shows alongside in-house and originals, but soon both of those may leave for the parent company's subscriptions at Disney and Time Warner, respectively. So I guess DC is Time Warner. Okay, my mistake. I don't follow this stuff, so I don't know. Okay, it's kind of streaming Cold War as each company tries to leverage its own franchises into a standalone subscription bundle. It's too early to say exactly what that will look like. It could be good news for specific fandoms with skinny bundles, letting you zero in on Star Trek or Lucasfilm content, but if you're the kind of person who likes to keep up on everything, get ready to pay a lot more monthly fees. Realize that back in the 80s, there were I think it's around 50 or so media companies, and now, I mean, this was an old number, 8. I think it's even less now because of more of these mergers. So we have to be aware of that. The golden age of streaming is come and unfortunately gone. This is a no-brainer article. Do you think the giants of Silicon Valley have your best interest at heart? Think again. Duh. John Norton. Okay, so basically he's looking at 3 basic tenets of the quasi-religious belief system as it relates to technology. Technology is value neutral and therefore automatically lead to good outcomes for everybody. Number 2, thus new kinds of technology should be deployed as quickly as possible, even if we lack a general idea of how the technology works or what the societal impact will be. And 3, history is generally uninteresting because the past has nothing to teach us. So if you subscribe to those 3 things, you're just one of these morons who runs around going, I got nothing to hide. Because the fact of the matter is technology is not necessarily value neutral. We're proving that more and more and more, where the algorithms, the AIs, the predpol, predictive policing models, the mere presence of them introduces certain racial and cultural biases into them. All right. And it's there from the programmers, whether intentional or not, usually not intentional, but still it's just the way that we program things. It's the way that these systems work. They're not necessarily value neutral, and they can be easily co-opted. New kinds of technology should be deployed as quickly as possible, even if we lack a general idea of how the technology works or what the societal impact will be. This is the one that's destroying us. We're going to rush to get all this stuff out. Why? I mean, in reality, we're in a case right now where we're in a no-win situation. If we as the United States, we have this mass bound of integrity, we say AI is going to destroy the world, so we're not going to develop it, we're just going to be left behind because you think everyone else is going to stop? No. Nope. And so if we stop, then our enemies are going to have the AI killer robots and we won't have anything. And so it's become this self-fulfilling prophecy where either the world's going to get blown up or our AI is going to take over the world. One of the two. I mean, it's Skynet, it's iRobot, it's whatever it is, whatever it is, this is a problem. And they get into this concept of determinism down here. This is the second instance it shows up. I want to see if I can find where it first showed up. I think it's this paragraph. Okay. The polite term for the delusions that grip the lords of Silicon Valley and their fans elsewhere is technological determinism. The belief that technology is what really drives history and that they are on the right side of history. All right. So let's talk about determinism real quick, because if you've read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, this is one of the things that he says that traps people into certain molds, determinism. And we have environmental determinism. You're born in a ghetto, you just think, oh, I'm never going to get out of here. If that's your thought, if you are predetermined that, then you are allowing determinism to dictate where your future is going to be based upon your past or where you come from. But some people have escaped the ghetto. Don't let your present world circumstances dictate where you're going to be in the future. Move beyond it. Move beyond it. Move beyond it. I came from a poor family. Very poor family. I went through 10 years of higher education. I sit here now. I don't have any student loans. I don't have a boss. I mean, I'm entirely self-employed. It's amazing how much you can drag yourself out of bad circumstances and situations and not get so bogged down from where you came from. Then, of course, I was going to college right when the Human Genome Project was going on, and we're going to map the whole genome, and we're going to have it all. If you were in science in that time, it was just like, whoa, we're going to have it all. The Human Genome Project that's bringing all these scientists together. We're going to map everything. We're going to know everything about the human body. And guys, nothing changed. Because now we have all this data. We go, yeah, okay, now we know the human genome. Well, crap, there's a whole lot more things that aren't genetic than us are. And so genetics don't necessarily determine it. But right about that time, genetic determinism was coming out. So in 2002, an article came out. They're like, we found the obesity gene. It's called the MC4 mutation. Okay, so the MC4 mutation was called the obesity gene. This whole family of people had it. They literally had T-shirts made. I mean, they were like repulsively fat. And they had T-shirts made for them that said, it's not our fault, it's our genes. Well, let me explain to you what the MC4 mutation does. There is a chemical in the gut called catecholamine that when you eat protein and fat, not sugar, protein and fat, it triggers catecholamine. That is released in the duodenum. It goes into the bloodstream, and it goes back up, and it signals, I think, the pituitary gland that says you're no longer hungry. And that's why people on the Atkins diet who are restricting the carbohydrates and eat lots of fats and lots of proteins, why they lose weight, because they inherently eat less, okay? Versus our entire American diet, which is almost entirely sugar, we have scraped out all the fat, we have scraped out as much protein as we can, all for low everything, sugar, sugar, sugar. Even the sugar-free stuff, like the fat-free stuff, is higher in sugar. It never triggers that signal, and that's what causes us in the Western diet to overconsume. So we can easily eat 3 to 4 times as many calories as somebody who restricts their carbohydrates and eats mostly meats and fats, like mostly meats, and natural fat sources. So back to the MC4 mutation. The MC4 mutation is a mutation that cuts off that signal. Okay, so and I think what it does, if I remember what it does, then it triggers the catecholamine, but the catecholamine is defective. And so somebody eats a lot of food, that signal never goes to their brain and says we're not hungry. So effectively, a person with the MC4 mutation, it's not some gene that just makes them fat. It's the signal that says you're no longer hungry never triggers. So it simply takes discipline to overcome it. If you have that mutation, you have to recognize, oh, I just ate 4 plates of food. Maybe it's time to stop eating. Okay, that's determinism. When you say, my genes determine my outcome, my environment determines my outcome, my life determines my outcome, everything determines my outcome, you have fallen into the trap of determinism. So back to this article. The polite term for delusions that grip this is called technological determinism, the belief that technology is really what drives history. In other words, our technology is what determines where we are. So if we don't push out the tech as good as we push out the tech, we're just going to fail as human societies. It's an extension of the old philosophy of modernism. Remember the philosophy of modernism? Modernism said, through our human innovation, we are going to solve the world's problems. Guess what, guys? We have a lot of innovation, and a lot of people are still hungry because human nature is still a problem, and fat cats with trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars are sitting in their ivory towers rather than feeding poor people. Rather than sit here and say, oh, we're going to deal with the plight of the poor people, why don't you give up about $6 billion and feed the world 6 times over if that's really a concern of yours? Don't sit here and tell us, who are barely scraping by with what we have, to go out and solve the world's problems when you're sitting on $10 trillion in cash. Okay, and I'm not saying, hey, let's turn to a socialism and let's pull these guys' money away from them. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is these people are the ones that have the resources to do something about it. Either get up or shut up. Stop telling us to go help solve the problem if all you're willing to do is take a penny's worth of your money and go, ooh, there you go. Here's a carrot so I look good. Okay? Modernism says we're not going to solve the problems with technology, but Silicon Valley lives under this philosophy of technological determinism that says our technology is going to drive society. It's going to solve all of our problems, and all it's going to do is make things worse. Ravi Zacharias says our improved technology gives us an improved means to reach our own deteriorating ends because human nature is still a thing. Okay, so it may also explain why they have manifested such blithe indifference and malign the effects of their machines are having on society. After all, if technology that the technology and the remorseless bulldozer that flattens everything in its path, then why waste time and energy fretting about it or imagining that it might be controlled? Determinism, in that sense, removes human agency from the picture. The role assigned to people is essentially that passive or active consumers of whoever wonders the tech industry chooses to lay before them. It also removes politics from the frame because politics is about how societies make collective choices, and determinism holds that there are no choices to be made. One of the infuriating tragedies of our time is how many of our ruling elites seem to have swallowed the snake oil and how long it has then taken them to wake up to what is going on. Okay? So fascinating thing, guys. The Silicon Valley guys, they don't care about us. All they care about is making a little bit more money. They want to throw a little bit more cash under that pile of cash they're sitting on. So that's kind of that. All right. Oh, yeah, this was good news. Like I said, this is a week of good news. Feds shut down a self-driving school bus pilot in Florida. Yeah, apparently, did you guys know this? Did you guys know in Florida there was a self-driving school bus in Florida carrying your children around? Now, they didn't shut it down, but whoa, we don't know if this is good. They shut it down because it wasn't a United States company. Oh, the buses over there, they don't have the same safety standards we have. So that's the only reason they shut it down. They shut it down because France, I think the company is France, doesn't have the same safety standards as United States has for safety standards. Okay? Trump administration has taken a hands-off approach to regulating self-driving cars. Oh, by the way, though, self-driving cars, they're going to be everywhere. It's probably safer if the children are on the bus rather than get run over by the self-driving car that passes the bus. Because the bus was capped at like 25 miles an hour, I think. Actually, I think it was capped at like 8 miles an hour. I don't know. But apparently, yeah, there was a self-driving school bus hauling around your children in Florida. Did you guys, are you aware that, where was this thing? I don't know. Oh, boy. YouTube. YouTube is now investing some money. I think is it $2 million? I forget. They're dedicating a few $1,000,000 for anybody who's doing like tech type educational videos. So whatever that happens to mean, they have nice fluffy pieces about it. They talk about how they've already given to, organizations that probably have a lot of money already. But if you want to, and you are making educational type videos, you can actually apply to it. So you can enter the pooling here, and if they agree that you're actually doing content creation type videos, they might give you some money. That's cool. That's good. Like I said, weird good news. This is a weird week because the other good news from The Verge, I had the best write-up of this that I found. New copyright exemptions now lets you legally repair your phone or jailbreak voice assistants. And by the way, for you farmers out there, the rule finally means that a farmer can have a third-party person repair their tractor. So farmers out there, rejoice. You can now get your tractor repaired rather than going through John Deere. And so there's been made changes to this rule. And by the way, these rules go into effect on Sunday, like really fast. So they made adjustments to 1201 of the DMCA, basically the part that says it's unlawful to circumvent technological measures used to prevent unauthorized access to copyrighted works. So, of course, companies were using this to say, well, you can't access our software, which is encrypted on the device, so you can't fix your phone, you can't fix your laptop, you can't fix your, you can't fix your tractor, you can't, fix your phone, whatever else. Now, this does not mean that people can still buy parts. It doesn't mean they're going to release. Schematics. We really need real right to repair rules to get that to happen. What this does mean is that if you're a guy who knows how to do software and you in-house develop software to break DRM that allows you to repair a device, the companies are not allowed to come after you for that as long as you do not distribute that software. So if Louis Rossmann, for example, comes up with a way to beat that T2 chip that apparently is not turned on yet because, Skynet's not online, if he comes up with a way to do that and he now replaces this and bypasses the authorized Apple technician to fix the computer, Apple's not allowed to come after him for the use of his own software or breaking the encryption to repair that laptop. And it applies not just to the owner of the device, but the owner of the device can also authorize anybody that they wish to repair the device on their behalf. So this is halfway to the win on right to repair. Now we just got to get it the other way and say, now you got to release the schematics, you got to make the parts available, things like that. So this is all good news. The bad news is it still, for whatever reason, does not apply to video game consoles. So pretty much everything other than an Xbox and a PlayStation, you can fix now that you own. It leaves pretty much everything else intact. It is also now legal to unlock new phones, not just used phones. So if you were to pick up a new phone, you can you can unlock it right away. Not to say they have to allow it, but they can't come after you for doing it. And then basically any smart homes, any home appliances, any home appliance systems, specifically talking about the device that Google bought and then shut down. Now people are allowed to hack into those and turn them into a reusable state again. Of course, any cars, any tractors, things like that, people can fix those. And of course, you can hire third-party repairs to do those types of things. So this is a win. There's some things that this doesn't go quite far enough, but hey, I'll take any win that I can get at this point in time. So that's my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Switched to Linux. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the links at the top. There is another video over here. You can check out our Patreon page down here. And you can check out shop.switchedtolinux.com for information on a t-shirt like this or some other designs. Thanks for watching and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.